Welcome to Black Hole Deep Insights, a channel dedicated to exploring the world's greatest wonders, strangest secrets, and most curious truths. Here, we don't just give you information, we take you on a journey through the unknown. So if you're someone who asks why, how, or what else is hidden, you're in the right place. Now, let's begin. Episode 3, The Lost World of the Indus Valley Civilization. When we first began our journey into the origins of human civilization, we traced the footprints of our ancestors through the mists of forgotten time. In our first episode, we unearthed the mystery of Göbekli Tepe, the world's oldest known temple, older than the pyramids, older even than the wheel. In our second, we walked along the fertile banks of the Tigris and Euphrates, witnessing the rise of the Mesopotamian world, where writing, cities, and law were first born. Today, we move further east, to a land where the rivers Indus and Saraswati once carved a golden path through plains that still whisper stories of human brilliance. Here, around 3300 BCE, a civilization rose, vast, organized, peaceful, and astonishingly modern. It was the Indus Valley Civilization, also known as Harappan civilization, a world that existed long before Egypt built its pyramids, and while Mesopotamia was still discovering bronze. This was a civilization that spoke through its cities, not its kings, through its architecture, not its conquests. A civilization that vanished mysteriously, leaving behind thousands of seals, bricks, ornaments, and ruins, but not a single deciphered word. And that mystery makes it one of the greatest puzzles in human history. Around 3300 BCE, somewhere between today's Pakistan and northwestern India, people began settling near the mighty Indus River and its tributaries, the Ravi, Beas, and Ghaggar-Hakra, often identified with the mythical Saraswati River. On a modern political map, the Indus Valley sites spread across Sindh, Punjab, Baluchistan, Pakistan, and extend into Gujarat, Rajasthan, Haryana, and Punjab, India. On a physical map, these lie within the vast Indo-Gangetic plain, bordered by the Himalayas to the north and the Thar Desert to the southeast. These people were not primitive farmers, they were sophisticated city planners. By 2600 BCE, cities like Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, Dholavira, Kalibangan, and Lothal stood proudly, laid out with remarkable precision. Each city followed a grid pattern, with main streets intersecting at right angles, lined with drainage systems that would put many modern towns to shame. They used standardized baked bricks, each brick of the same ratio, no matter how far apart the cities were. That means there was a unified system of planning and measurement across an area of more than 1.3 million square kilometers, larger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia combined. The Indus people lived in multi-roomed brick houses with wells, bathrooms, and courtyards. Every household had a system to dispose of wastewater, connected to covered drains that ran beneath the streets. Social life seems to have been egalitarian. No royal palaces, no huge temples, no obvious signs of kingship. Instead, there were granaries, public baths like the Great Bath of Mohenjo-Daro, and assembly halls, suggesting a civic rather than a monarchic society. Their writing system, carved on seals and pottery, remains undeciphered. Over 400 distinct symbols have been found, possibly representing a Proto-Dravidian or an unknown ancient language. We still do not know what they called themselves, what they wrote, or even how they prayed. Religious life revolved around nature and fertility. Seals show sacred trees, bulls, the unicorn motif, and a horned deity in a yogic pose, later interpreted by some scholars as a prototype of Lord Shiva, Pashupati. Small terracotta figurines of mother goddesses suggest a belief in fertility and earth worship. Food, agriculture, and trade. The Indus Valley people were expert agriculturists. The fertile plains of the Indus supported the cultivation of wheat, barley, peas, lentils, sesame, mustard, and cotton. The oldest evidence of cotton use in the world. Archaeological remains show they domesticated cattle, buffalo, sheep, goats, and pigs. Fishing was common, and river fish bones are found in several sites. In coastal cities like Lothal, people collected marine shells and used them to craft jewelry. Their eating habits were diverse and healthy, mostly vegetarian, but occasionally including meat and fish. They used grains, pulses, and vegetables, prepared on hearths or open fires. Archaeobotanical studies from Harappa and Dholavira reveal traces of rice, millet, dates, and even melons. Food was stored in large granaries, ground in stone querns, and cooked in earthen pots. Trade connected them to Mesopotamia, Oman, Bahrain, and Iran. Indus seals have been found in Mesopotamian cities, while Mesopotamian texts refer to a distant land called Meluha, believed to be the Indus region. They exported cotton, ivory, lapis lazuli, carnelian beads, copper, and terracotta figurines. Science, technology, and innovation. They were pioneers in urban engineering. Their drainage system remains one of the most sophisticated of the ancient world. They understood geometry, evident in the symmetry of their architecture, and standardized weights made of chert stone show their accuracy in trade. The dockyard at Lothal, discovered in Gujarat, is among the earliest known dry docks in history. It proves that the Harappans had mastered hydrology and tidal control thousands of years ago. They also created bronze and copper tools, pottery decorated with geometric patterns, and exquisite beadwork made from semi-precious stones. This suggests not only skill but also organized craft specialization and workshops. Life in the Indus Valley was peaceful. Weapons are rare, and evidence of warfare almost non-existent. The uniformity across sites indicates a collective social system rather than one ruled by force. Men and women adorned themselves with jewelry, necklaces, bangles, anklets, and headbands. Children played with clay toys, carts, whistles, and animal figurines. Their garments were likely cotton-based, simple drapes, perhaps similar to the modern Indian dhoti and shawl. Hairstyles and ornaments were elaborate, especially for women. Pets like dogs and cats were common, and the bull had sacred importance. Certain seals even depict animals that seem mythological, a combination of tigers, elephants, and goats, hinting at early myth-making and spiritual symbolism. Around 1900 BCE, the Indus cities began to fall into decline. Trade networks collapsed, urban planning weakened, and the once mighty cities were abandoned. But why? Theories abound. Some suggest tectonic shifts or massive floods that changed the course of the Indus and Saraswati rivers, drying out fertile lands. Others propose climate change and prolonged droughts, making agriculture impossible. Archaeological layers reveal signs of gradual decay, not sudden destruction. There's little evidence of invasion or war, but some sites show human migrations toward the east, toward the Ganges plains, where later Indian civilization would rise. The Harappans did not disappear entirely, they evolved. Their descendants likely merged with other groups, giving rise to the Vedic culture and later South Asian civilizations. The spiritual seeds they planted, reverence for water, cleanliness, fertility, and balance, still echo through Indian traditions today. The legacy of the Indus Valley is profound. They introduced the world's first urban sanitation systems. They showed how collective civic life can thrive without centralized monarchies or wars. They understood balance between man and nature, trade and peace, progress and harmony. Today, as we walk through the ruins of Mohenjo-Daro or Dholavira, we don't see just bricks. We see humanity's earliest dream of order and dignity. And though their script remains silent, their cities continue to speak, reminding us that progress doesn't always roar. Sometimes it flows quietly, like the river Indus itself. In our next episode, we'll move west again, to the ancient Nile Valley, where civilization took a divine form under the gaze of gods and pharaohs. We'll explore how the world's most iconic monuments, the pyramids, rose from desert sands, and how Egypt's story intertwined with those of Mesopotamia and the Indus. Until then, remember, these civilizations are not just ruins. They're mirrors of who we were, and clues to who we might become again.